This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
Recording is on a computer that was built this decade.
Yeah, same over here. The computers that we're using are at least newer than the podcast. Even if
God, that's so true.
Even if the processes are not.
Yeah, our processes have not really changed since last decade, for sure. The processes that we're using on these computers are older than the computers. Ah, Lord. So today we're doing the last regular chapter episode of the book. We still have the epilogue to do after today, but this is the last chapter episode.
Right. Yeah, we're doing the last two chapters. So 56 and 57. Kind of the end. This almost feels a little epilogue-y to me.
Oh, yeah, because that was such a huge high peak. This is a come down.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely. And there's actually the epilogue feels, because it's like leading into the last battle, I feel like the epilogue is almost a more plot heavy chapter than this one. I almost feel like you could switch it and make this the does that make sense? Like if an epilogue is just sort of something that happens after and the last chapter should be the exciting stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on where you want the hook. Do you want the hook at the end of the chapters or do you want it at the end of the book?
Right.
Because this is very much a wrapping up and a coming down and a putting away. And then the epilogue is just nothing but hooks for the next book. Cigarette after the climax. Yeah, Fuji, basically.
Something Thom and Moraine are going to need pretty soon.
Yeah, but yeah, Dr. Pants, that is a good way of looking at it. This is the epilogue, and then the epilogue is a misnamed teaser after the credits roll.
Totally. It's a prologue to the prologue for the last book.
Right, which I appreciate. I like a book that you know the next one's coming out to have that one coming out be like, no, here's your little teasers. Here's the things to look forward to. Like, we basically have the release date for the next book ready to go. Like, yeah, let's go. But yeah, we're starting today, chapter 56, with Something Wrong. And our symbol is the Dragon's Fang, because this is why, what's something wrong here?
I think it's dark. We got the Black Tower.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the Black Tower POV where they figure out that even Androl can't make a gateway out.
And there's something like in his eye, the guy's eyes, right? Like that's the whole, like, yeah.
Right, yeah, the turned soul look.
I'm curious if the phrase "something wrong" is actually used in the chapter.
I think it is, but I forget already. But we start with Gawyn. That's the POV that we start the chapter with. And yeah, we're getting a very strong sense of this is our characters as they are setting up to go into the battle. There's no more gear to acquire. There's no more level ups to acquire. There's no more relationships to level up. Like, this is them dressed to the nines at the fields of Marilor, ready to start the final engagement, which of course has some preamble and character development.
Right. This is the stage for the final battle.
They are just so ready. Like, her chair is sturdy, they're married, they're bonded, they're wearing clothes appropriate to their station. You know, there's no loose threads hanging off as we open the scene. So I guess I can read us in?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is worth a read in.
A soft knock came at the post outside Gawyn's tent. "Come," she said, shuffling through the papers on her desk. Gawyn slipped in. He'd given up his fine clothing, choosing trousers of brown and a slightly lighter shirt. A warder's color-shifting cloak hung around his shoulders, making him blend into his surroundings. Gawyn herself was wearing a regal dress of green and blue. His cloak rustled as he took a seat beside her. "Elaine's army is crossing. She sent word that she's on her way to come visit our camp." "Excellent," Gawyn said. Gawyn nodded, but he was troubled. Such a useful thing, that ball of emotions caused by the bond. If she'd known earlier the depth of his devotion to her, she'd have bonded him weeks ago.
Yeah. While he's carrying around the fucking 3 rings from the blood knives that he's going to use to basically murder her with.
He's so devoted and he cares so much and he does his job so well. Also, he's been oddly evasive about those 3 rings he's wearing, like he has 3 secret lovers. I should probably press him on that, but later, it's fine. His devotion to me is unquestioned. Everything's good.
It's giving me, no, he was innocent of the thing that put him in jail for 17 years when he was 18. Sorry, that's a specific example of somebody I know. Who's saying, no, it's fine. He's not that bad. He's just lying to me about the most important things in our lives.
Yeah, I wish that this was not how this was going.
I think especially knowing the outcome and knowing what he does later, it's so hard to be skeptical, or to be accepting.
No, this looks fine. This looks fine on the front of it. He's changed his dress code. He's changed the way he talks to her. He seems to have turned a corner. And if he had just taken those 3 rings as a trophy to remind him, as like a token, like just a personal reminder, it would be fine. It would be fine. Like this could be real. This could be real. We know it's not, and that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. We know the second he has an opportunity for glory, he runs headfirst into the meat grinder.
He's addicted to being the hero, and he's currently on a fast. He's currently quit being a hero, but he will be tempted to relapse, and it will get Gawyn killed.
And he's still stuck on Althor, right? What if he's doing this to distract everyone else from, like, this whole paranoia? I mean, and partially it's on Egwene's side, but he's still, like, convinced that Rand is messing with them by having this gathering.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Gawyn is so set against him, because I feel like if she was more being reasonable about Rand, like we've said she should many times, then she would be talking him down out of that paranoia spiral, but instead she's yes-anding it, right? Like Gawyn has this opportunity to let go, this opportunity to off-ramp from that spiral that he's been on. Egwene could be helping him with that transition, but instead she's reinforcing the spiral and yes-anding his new explanation to not trust Rand. I mean, she literally says, well, he knows he shouldn't break the seals at a subconscious level. This is a cry for help. And I'm just like, this is the worst way you could possibly convince Gawyn to stop being weird about Rand.
Well, and this whole not giving him agency, right? Not being like, oh, maybe the Dragon Reborn is like actually planning something out and using me to gather the forces. She figures it out later, right? That like she's gathering all the forces that are loyal to her, and that's causing all the forces that are loyal to him to oppose them, and then they're all together, and all he has to do is convince her, right? That whole thing that he goes through. And it's like, yeah, he's using you. But, like, to unite everybody, it's this weird, like, I don't know. Her assumptions about Rand drive me nuts. Her assumptions that he's just, like, doesn't understand what he's doing when he's just manipulating her to get what he wants.
I think it has a lot to do with assuming that he can't be trusted to be in his own right mind because he's insane. Right, there's the taint and the madness and how he's been behaving for the past 18 months. And so he's literally too insane to know his own right mind. And we have to take that agency from him. And it's incredibly infantilizing and, dare I say, ableist and, paternalistic. It's what the White Tower does.
And let's ignore the fact that he's healed himself on, Veins of Gold.
Yeah, but this is what the White Tower does, right? She's got 3,000 years of institutional momentum saying men who can channel are the worst. Men are in general the worst. And a man who we know is insane, absolutely 100% could never be trusted to know up from down, much less how to handle the end of the world and the seals, despite being the Dragon Reborn. Like, it's such a hypocritical and contradictory worldview. But she is the Amyrlin seat whole hog. So, of course, she's expressing that against all of what we know about her as a person, as Egwene Alvear, as the farm girl, right? I mean, she happily gave that part of herself up,
Yeah, and I see people are arguing, like, in chat, Athlon and Vuji are saying, like, this is kind of like she doesn't know he's gone through Veins of Gold and he's done all these crazy things, and then all of a sudden he goes Zen. That feels like a pre-suicide thing, and since she knows he's going to die, like, can you trust this person who maybe be going off the deep end?
I mean,
in a Zen kind of way.
She does kind of know about Veins of Gold in the sense that she talked with Elaine afterward about how he had changed, and Elaine said he feels warm now. Like, she does know that something happened. I totally agree, Vuji. I would be worried if someone suddenly became all Zen after a couple years of going through the ringer. But Egwene's not worried about him. Egwene's assuming that he's already a lost cause and that it's her right to swoop in and tell him what's what. She doesn't express the worry that I would have expected from his childhood friend. She expresses the authority of the Amyrlin seat.
Yes. No, she's very much the Amyrlin seat.
I would have liked it if some of his friends had been like, dude, this is a really intense mood change. Are you sure you're okay? Like, that would have been a super cool conversation. Maybe have Gawyn be like, I found some yellows who specialize in mental illness. Like, you want to talk to someone about hurting yourself? That would have made sense. But instead, she's just like, I'm the only adult in the room.
There are no yellows who specialize in mental illness. They consider mental health out of their realm of specialty.
Fourth age yellows, please do better.
They can't heal it with power, so it does not count.
I'm gonna need somebody to realize that hugging it out is a meaningful form of therapy and make that a science. Anyway, we're gonna go talk to Elaine now. We're gonna go meet with the Queen of Andor / the sister-in-law of the Amerlin seat.
There's this other army that's not a true army. It's a bunch of farmers. I assume that's the people who we saw in the prologue.
Yes, has to be. We heard the call. There's just a siren song, a magnetic pull. It's all the animals pointing north, right? Like, that's what that is, I assume.
I like how he says it's a small army. I would love if it was a giant army, like a huge group. Because I feel like if you have civilians come forward, that should be the biggest army.
But, like, is it a small army given that it's 10,000 strong? Like, wasn't that a big army 2 years ago in these books? Like, it's impressive. But yeah, it would have been cool if it was 100,000.
Is that a new one, she asked, gesturing toward a smaller force that had taken up position just below the ruins. So I don't know. They don't give a number. They just say it's a smaller force.
2 paragraphs down. They seemed a varied bunch with mismatched tents and little understanding of how to set up an army camp, but there did seem to be some 5,000 or 10,000 of them. I'm like, I feel like we had generals commenting that 5,000 was a massive army before all this shit started.
Yes.
So it's still impressive.
But now it's pretty insignificant, especially with the Aiel. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, these people are farmers. Like, they aren't professional soldiers. They just suddenly spontaneously formed an army that a mere 2 years ago would have been considered, like, nation shaking. It's pretty impressive.
If you look at the population numbers, sometimes I wonder. Like, I feel like, and I haven't verified this with research, but I feel like I've read it multiple times, that like the numbers of people actually involved are not as big as they should be based on like the armies.
Yeah, you've said that on air before. I also have not looked into it, but you've said it enough times that I just believe you. Right.
I assume someone would have corrected me by now if I was completely off base.
True. Okay, Athlon's pushing back on my assumption about 5 or 10 being a lot. Well, I mostly care about military stuff to the extent that Robert Jordan made me care about it. It's not my strong suit.
Yeah, so Athlon's saying Aiel brought like 150,000 over the Dragon Wall, at least, to 200, and the Band of the Red Hand start out as 5K, and that was a very small specialized force, and has now reached like 30K because of all the recruiting they're doing. And that's still a small force compared to like some of these bigger armies. All right. So... You know, and just
that's
and just
a lot
the whole
of
like
poop. That's all I'm saying.
Oh
the
my God.
Sanitation at the fields of Marilor is what I have questions about.
Yeah, wait till the bodies start falling. I mean, the fields of Marilor is going to be a bloody, bone-ridden place for a very, very long time. I doubt anything will grow there after the last battle.
But once stuff does grow there, it's going to be luscious. Those nutrients are... Have you seen the trees at like the Gettysburg battlefields? Those things are honking.
That's morbid.
It's true. There's some big old trees planted where there were mass graves, and they are big, beautiful trees that clearly have fed very, very well. Those old trees in cemeteries or on battlefields are well fed. And this is why green burials should be way more common than they are.
Yeah. We are taking a lot of nutrients out of the carbon cycle.
Well, and like trees are way more awesome to visit than headstones because they just get more epic as time goes by. And they're beautiful and they're alive.
Honestly, they last longer than a headstone. Like you think stone lasts forever, but like stone breaks down real fast.
I love going through old cemeteries. I've lived near a bunch of them in my life. And yeah, headstones weather down quite fast. Anyhow... The Andoran Queen is now also the Cairhienin Queen, and that's pretty cool.
We get sort of a rundown of everybody that's there, right? Like Perrin and his force, and Gawyn sees Morghese for the first time.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I thought Egwene's response was cold as fuck. Her spies had delivered word of the rumor this last night, but she wanted to confirm it before speaking to Gawyn. Dude, like, if you have an idea that your husband's mother is alive when he thinks she's been dead, you don't keep that to yourself.
Again, she's the Amerlin institution of the tower more than she is a human person. She really wants to embody being above humanity with her institutional might, and it's a problem.
It's a problem. I feel like it's almost a symptom of her youth. She's like, oh, I have to be the Amerlin. I can't be myself anymore. And like she has to figure out where that balance is. You know, that is the one thing where I would say her youth comes into play in terms of like burying her own self in the job. I see that so many times with people who are right out of college.
Yeah, no, it is incredibly believable that someone who's not even into their 20s yet would think that subsuming themselves in their job to that degree is sustainable and desirable. That totally tracks with her youth. Yeah, I just wish that Gawyn had like been more able to let go of the Rand hate once he literally saw more gays. Like literally, you'd think that would have helped like finish him breaking out of the loop.
There should have been some revelation there. Yeah.
Which again, if Egwene had been helping him, trying to help talk him down out of it, trying to help him realize where the edges of his psychosis are, then this could have been an amazing moment of closure of like, and with that, the spell was finally clicked and everything Egwene had been saying finally settles into place and all of that. But instead, yeah, she's just kind of like, oh, turns out my mother-in-law is alive. Neat. And like moves on. Like, okay.
Yeah, I think that's one of the weaknesses. And when people say, I wanted a reunion scene that I feel like I didn't get, even though we see some reunions and we see some like other characters talk to each other, is because they don't ever address the issues that they've been dealing with independently. They don't come together and Gawyn doesn't say, I'm sorry, I thought you killed my mother. We don't ever have Egwene and Rand sort of confront each other over the shared, like, man, we just had to become powerful and that, you know, that changed us in ways. You never have Rand be like, hey, I know you're cool with the wolves, Perrin. Like, that's cool. You're my brother anyway. You know, you never have Matt be like, hey, like, I know I was scared of you, Rand, but you cleansed the source. Like, I trust you to save the world. Like, none of that emotional work is being done by the characters to have a quote unquote reunion at the end, right? I think the best example we get is Nynaeve and Moraine.
Oh, that hug.
That hug.
Just the wordless hug that lasts so long that Moraine actually returns it. Like,
right. Right. Like, that's the one person who's reflected on something, changed her opinion about the other person, and actually acts on it in a way. And we see that on screen. Right. I feel like so much of that is missing from the other relationships. And
of course, that would be one between two women with none of the men. Of course, none of the men can have the one good reunion. The only good reunion is between like the two motherist figures that we've had since book one.
Even Gawyn and Moraine don't feel like they get a real, you know, cathartic moment. There's like you're going to call me mother. And she's like, yep, I am. And it's like, okay. I can't even remember what they do when they interact. Like, I don't remember the scene. So.
And yeah, Athlon, Rand and Perrin agreeing about the seals is a nice moment where they have this actual, like, as technical professional people, we can agree on this. That is a moment, but it's still not reunion. It's more just like the old days. We actually talk to each other in the face of that annoying girl Egwene who's trying to control us.
And that's the best of the boys' reunions, and then you got the Matt Perrin one where he tries to like throw in that nostalgia of using the Badger, and that's really bad.
Oh, you don't. But you're saying that the one-upmanship scene is good. I lost my eye in a fight with a bartender. I mean,
it is a setup for a decent punchline, which is like, yeah, well.
I wouldn't have minded it if it had been buried in a larger, better reunion scene. Then I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't give it any shade at all. It is funny. It's just so naked on its own.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, for now, Rand shows up long enough to break the clouds over the fields of Marilor. Field of Marilor, singular field. And then we POV switch over to the Black Tower because it's not quite time. That will be next book to see what Rand says at the fields. But he arrives long enough to break the clouds, and then we pivot to the Black Tower.
So, I want to do like Strawberry Fields Forever parody, except Strawberry Fields of Marilor. Do like Bloody Fields of Marilor instead of Strawberry Fields of Marilor. That would be a terrible parody song.
Put it on the list. Let's put it on the list.
And the Beatles is well enough known. You can always get away with like people can sing along with that.
Right. Yeah. Not obscure. Even
Not
if
obscure.
I can't draw the tune to mind, I'm sure I've heard it before. Like I just would need to go be like, wait, which song? Oh, that one. Sure.
Because that's often the problem I have when I try and pick songs. I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite songs, and I think it'd work really well, and nobody's ever heard of it.
It's a problem. But the Beatles is a pretty solid bet.
Yeah. People have at least heard of them, whether or not they're going to enjoy it. They know the song.
That's not the point. Enjoying it's not the point. Showing off your parody writing skills is the point.
So, Androl.
Androl. So we are in a group of Ashaman collectively trying to figure out this gateway thing. Androl and Amaran and others are like it's where we left Pevara off, essentially, right? She tries one gateway, and now we're snapping over to the Ashaman doing like fourth, fifth, sixth tries, being like, okay, Androl, the genius at this stuff, can you do it? Like, no, the dream spike is very effective.
Let me look up these Ashaman really quick. So we've got Candler, who's been around for a while. He's introduced in A Crown of Swords, chapter 27. He worked out the weave to bond his wife. Evian, let me look him up. Path of Daggers was his first. He helped capture the 51 sisters from the White Tower.
Okay.
And he's pretty young. Tam ends up killing him in the last battle. So these are all, these are various established characters, it seems like, at least mentioned in earlier Wheel of Time books. These aren't made up. They're just basically like, we have a list of Ashaman to pull from, and he's pulling from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, all the names are familiar. None of them are new.
And then Amaran is the guy who's being his dead brother, who was channeled by Ashaman. He's faking to be him. Yeah, these are all Ashaman with at least some backstory.
Yeah, they're not made up. They're not fan inserts. They're not one-offs. They're all established characters with backstories we can look at. Some of them are very short, but they existed in other books, so it's cool.
And they will be around for most of the story. Actually, is from here on out because they're part of Androl's Black Tower story.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that Androl is such a self-insert, but the entire cast around him is not. Everyone around him actually has legitimate claim to exist from other books in a way that he's just an empty sock puppet waiting to be filled.
I mean, he's certainly mentioned in an earlier book, right? But
yeah.
But there's no detail about who he is other than I think that he's a weak channeler.
Like, I think literally of all these guys, he's got like the shortest of the backstories before this book. And then suddenly this book, he gets to take on all that. But he's surrounded by characters that actually have like done stuff.
And that's why I think everyone's like, oh man, he'd be such a good Logan if Logan had been doing this instead of him. But then you'd have to tell a different story because you don't have the one who's the guy who's limited, has that gateway power. Sanderson can't play with the magic system.
It's kind of like how if Stephen King's going to write a book, you've got the cast of the same character archetypes over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Sanderson can't not have his min-max magic boy. And Logain already had an established power profile. So, yeah, it's a concession that we all just get to make to Sanderson. It's part of the tax we pay for getting him to write these books.
And so, I mean, not too much of they're trying to open a gateway. They're all, trying. We see a slight difference with Androl. He doesn't have a problem opening a gateway. He doesn't have whatever difficulty the spike ramps up, but it still unravels on him. So everybody's trying to open a gateway and nobody seems to be able to.
Yeah, even with his incredible skill, the technology is watertight.
Norley reports back that he spoke with Mezar and he's been, there's something wrong with his eyes. That's key for he's been turned, right?
Right. It's not Mezar. It's literally Mezar. I'm telling you, it's not him. It's his body. It's his memories. It is not his soul. His soul is out to lunch.
The smile is all wrong.
Yeah. And Androl goes and confirms it for himself. Pevara's just been seeing it in others. Like, there is a rapidly spreading wrongness in the Black Tower.
Yeah, so there's the groups that are loyal to Logain, those who have been turned, and then those who are... I don't know if there's anybody who's neutral anymore.
Yeah, they polarized everyone first and then started coming for the holdouts and doing the turning thing. But they didn't let anyone stay neutral. They made sure everyone was polarized into one camp or the other. And all the Aes Sedai are antagonists, so they're not really aligned with either camp, but they're not neutral either.
Right. And they're also being turned more effectively.
And they're being turned. There's two groups of Aes Sedai. They're being turned, and they cannot be looked to as allies Or so we think, right? That's kind of the point of this POV, is to say, well, the Aes Sedai clearly can't be allies, or can they?
And like, my understanding is it's easier to turn the Aes Sedai because it's easier to turn somebody if you have channelers of the opposite sex. So you did the 13 Murdral, and if you have 13 men, it's very easy to turn a woman, but 13 men have trouble.
Yeah, that does seem to be the nuance of it, yeah.
Which is why Logain is able to hang on for as long as he does.
Because they don't have the full complement of women.
However, I don't understand why they don't just turn enough women to then use them against Logain.
Yeah. Are there enough women inside the Black Tower's walls to make 13? Yeah, there's like 26 or something like that in that group, I think.
I think so. I get those.
But it's more than 13 is my point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know why they're going at this piecemeal one at a time. I guess maybe it just takes long enough that they can't do all of them at once.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. Maybe they like need to sleep. Like you can only turn one soul per sleep cycle because it's just that hard.
I'm not going to say it's a plot hole, but it's definitely one of those things where you're like, man, really seems like you could snowball this into converting everybody pretty easily.
It seems like a tension building device.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Writers are allowed to do that. It's not truly a plot hole, but I'm going to just defocus my eyes and move on.
I would be happier if it like burned up all the Murdral or something to do it.
Ooh, you can only turn so many because there's not an infinite supply of Murdral. That would be good. And Murdral like have to be kind of tricked into it because it's a one-way ticket.
Right, exactly. Like they're not willing to do it. They have to be commanded, which means you have to have like a Forsaken there. Like which I mean, you could say Taim's the Forsaken.
But he's still midway through his Forsaken entrance exam right now. He doesn't have those resources to call upon yet.
Right. The entrance exam is him converting the Black Tower.
Right. He's not going to get given help from the examiner to do that. That'd be weird.
So, yeah, he decides to go to the women who are trapped there as well as he is for help.
And he picks the one Aes Sedai who hasn't been turned yet.
Yeah. How does he know?
And who is open to it. How does he know? He might have somehow picked up on Pevara being the least rabid and creepy of all of them, but how does he pick the one that hasn't been turned?
I think it's literally just she's the one who opens the door.
No, they all stay in different little huts.
Okay.
Yeah, because she says, coming quickly, the woman I share this hut with is away. So...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he picks a hut. I feel like he just walks up to the huts and like picks the first one and knocks on the door.
Taviran.
Right.
I don't think they've ever talked before.
No, there is a scene where they talk.
Oh, they did? They did?
Yeah.
But yeah, he collects all of the Ashaman and their families that are loyal to Logain in one spot, worries about what they're going to do with Logain, and then says, out of the frying pan into the fire, let's try not to do that, and goes to the one Aes Sedai that will end up helping him without knowing if she'll help him. But Right.
I mean, they end up in that double bond situation, which neither one of them anticipated.
But yeah, he comes to her and she thinks he's a messenger from Taim, and then he does the whole no, you're not the only one who wants to get out. And suddenly we're in conspiracy cloak and dagger time. And she, does the Aes Sedai ageless face thing, and he's like, wow, I can interpret so much from a lack of emotion to interpret. We're going to be great friends. But yeah, he's kind of taking one for the team. He's the one who's going to do the negotiation on behalf of all the Ashaman who want to get out.
I might be wrong about them talking before.
Oh? Did they not talk before?
Because Androl is introduced in chapter 46, other than like his introduction in a previous book.
Right, yeah.
And then this is the next chapter he's in. And I don't believe he talked to her in chapter 46. I think this is my brain just saying, oh, yeah, you've read that scene.
I mean, you said it, and I was like, I can imagine it, but also there's that certain shimmery translucence to this memory that makes me wonder if it's just an amalgamated hallucination memory. And yay, fact-checking.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely thinking of a future encounter.
Okay. So they've never talked before, but let's just assume that he's noticed that she's in a leadership position and reasonable compared to the others. Let's just imagine that he's noticed that and made note of which hut she lives in for some reason. Or it's random Taviran. Taviran's such an old excuse at this point. I'd rather him just be observant.
I think it's more just like he finds somebody and they work together well.
He just happens to start with the only person that was possible with. when he goes to look for allies. He just happens to go to the only person that it was possible to have a positive result with.
Yeah, I mean, because Pevara is the one who's been thinking about, like, working with men before, and, like, the Red Tower, the Red Ajah needs to change their...
Yeah, but he doesn't know that. Unless he's just been observant subtly of her, like, manner in conversation. And it's just like, oh, that seems like the least objectionable.
Yeah, and the way he talks about it, he's like, I'm going to find us some allies. He's not like, I'm going to find an ally. I'm not going to go...
Pevara is one of the ones in charge of the expedition, so that might also be part of his rationale, is trying to go to the leadership of that group. Because he wants to find, like you said, allies in the plural. So leadership's a good place to start.
And he talks about, this is where the women of the Red Ajah were saying. Perhaps they'd come here to try to find a way to gentle the entire lot, but if that were the case, then he could at least count on them not siding with Taim.
Yeah. But he leaves it so late that there's only one Aes Sedai for him to recruit, essentially.
He does say you're not the only one who wants to leave this place, so maybe he noticed she was trying to leave.
Yeah, he says so. Like, I hear you're trying to leave. I hear you want to leave the Black Tower.
Because she did try and go, and so maybe that... so maybe he was specifically going to her because of her attempt to leave that got fouled.
Because it says, we'll never get past those guard posts, Androl said. Taim won't even let those Aes Sedai leave. You heard the fit that plump one threw at the gates the other day. That plump one is Pevara.
Okay.
So I guess he went to the one who he knew threw a fit at the gate the other day.
Okay, good catch.
And he's like, I know you want to leave. For sure. So yeah, that's what it is. Is it's because he knows that she actively threw a fit at Taim. Well, fit, whatever that means from an Aes Sedai. That's why he goes to her, is because he's positive that that one wants to leave. And he makes the excellent argument that really appeals to Pevara as a person. Once upon a time, men and women worked together. And it's like, we kind of know that of all the Reds, or really of all the Aes Sedai, like, she's one of the people most likely to hear that message and respond accordingly. Because she has kind of thought about that to a degree that most Aes Sedai haven't, much less Reds. So he makes a really good pitch with that choice of words.
Because doesn't she believe that the source has been cleansed? So she's like, what are we going to do now? Or is that something she believes later after the bonding of Androl?
Yeah, that's after. She doesn't know, because she's from the White Tower faction. She still doesn't know all the things that have been accepted by the rebels side. But she does believe that dealing with Ashaman should be more hands-on than just zapping them from afar, I guess. Yeah, why are they here? If they don't know that do they know the source was cleansed? Is that actually what's happening?
No, I think they just said they need to be controlled. And if we're controlling by bonding them, because they're going to go insane.
Right, just because they exist.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe even justify it because they're going to go insane, we need to bond them so we can control them when they go insane.
Right. But yeah, Pevara, I guess she's not really the best person to go to with this argument. But it works. It works.
And we'll catch up more with them in the next book, I think.
Well, there's only one more book in which to catch up with them, so.
Yes. Well, I wasn't sure if we see them in the epilogue. I don't think we do.
No.
Ooh, and my book just crashed. It's not something I thought I'd say very often.
Yeah, no, I'm not seeing that in the rest of the book.
And let's go right into the next chapter. We got a rabbit for supper.
With the dice. Closure to the Tower of Genji journey.
Yeah. And a rabbit is, of course, the rabbit that he randomly gets with his dagger and proves that he doesn't really need the eye because he's just lucky enough that he can basically fight with luck.
Yeah. He's luck works better when you're not looking anyway.
Exactly. All right, I guess I'll read us in. A rabbit for supper. Matt hit uneven ground, blinded by the flash of light. Cursing, he used the Ashendari to steady himself on the springy earth. He smelled foliage, dirt, and rotting woods. Insect buzzed in the shade. The whiteness faded, and he found himself standing outside the Tower of Genji. He had half expected to reappear in Ruidian. It seemed that the spear returned him to this world in the place where he had entered. Thom sat on the ground, propping up Moraine, who was blinking and looking about her. Matt spun on the tower and pointed upward. "I know you're watching," he said, thrilled. He had made it. He had bloody made it out alive. "I beat you, you crusty boot leavings. I, Matchroom Cawthon, survived your traps. Ha! He raised the Ashendari over his head. And you gave me a way out. Chew on that bitterness for lunch, you flaming, burning, misbegotten liars. Matt beamed, slamming the spear down, butt first, onto the ground beside him. He nodded. Nobody got the better of Matt Cawthon. They had lied to him, told him vague prophecies, and threatened him. And then they had hanged him. But Matt came out ahead in the end.
Air horn, air horn, air horn.
I'm not sure if that's a pun or not, but he came out ahead in the end after they hung him.
But they still got your eyeball, dude.
They did get your eye. The eye came out of his head.
It's true. They hung him so hard, one of his eyeballs popped out.
Yeah, so this is them coming out. We get a little bit about how the Ashendari works, right? It teleports you back to where you came from, as opposed to, I mean, why would it put him in Ruidian? I don't know. I guess because he's leaving the snake's world, and the gateway in Ruidian is the one that got him into the snake world. So that's my only thought, is that he thought that the position Ruidian mattered.
Yeah, because they're in the room with the shattered Ruidian door. Or no, with the shattered tear door. They're not in the room with the Ruidian door, because the Ruidian door was the melty door.
You're right.
So.
Yeah, so why would he think that he would come out in Ruidian?
Probably because that's where Moraine went in, or something like that. And so maybe they're like in the Moraine's entry point would be where they get out. But yeah, I think it makes more sense that the Ashendari returns them to wherever they entered. I think that makes the most meta cosmic sense. And so then, yeah, Moraine asks, who was the third? Like, I know he was there, but who was he? And Matt and Thom are like, well, he was a guy.
You may have heard of him, named by Jane Farstrider.
But they don't tell her.
No, they
talk
don't.
around it.
Yeah.
They're just like, he was a great man, and you should probably remember him. Anyway, it's like, it's so frustrating. Like, I mean, I guess it's kind of funny to be like, hey, Moraine, you know what we're not going to tell you? The information. How's it feel to be on the receiving end of random secrecy now, bitch?
They had such an opportunity to be like, need to know only when she started asking questions.
Yeah, exactly. That's need to know.
Yeah.
Or it's just that they're sad that he's dead.
Well, yeah.
But I like the idea of just being like, no, Moraine, you don't need to know that. It's fine. And then Matt says one of the funnier Mattisms, which is that, Thom, next time I want to do the negotiating, please hit me over the head. I really like that line. It's so dumb. It's so silly. And it's so Matt. It's just like, yeah, you should probably have Thom restrain you next time you try to take control. But also, only the Son of Battles is going to talk his way out of the tower. So.
Right. Because it is his luck, right? I mean, that was the whole thing with his wishes in the first place, is he didn't make them consciously. He didn't know he was supposed to make wishes. He was just yelling at them, and it happened to be the perfect things to get him passageway out.
Yeah. But also, like, we know that at any time Thom follows Matt into a dangerous situation, Thom is not going to be taking over the negotiating. No matter what he says to Matt here, he will always be making sure that Matt is in charge of negotiating. But it's still the funny thing. It's an I am not shouting, Nynaeve shouted. I don't want to be in charge of negotiating, says the lucky bastard.
Right. Who always negotiates exactly what he needs.
Exactly.
A little bit of sort of reflecting on Moraine. I wish we had more of Moraine actually doing things rather than Matt thinking about Moraine doing things, if that makes sense. I miss Moraine, and I don't feel like she really gets her due in this last book.
This last chapter of the second to last book?
Both. Yeah, but sort of like from here on out, in this last, chunk of the series, like I really wanted more from Moraine. And I get that, like, she's the adult who has left and she's not there to do the rescue and everything. But, she's supposed to save the world. And she does two things that are very important, right? She's at the Field of Marilor for the negotiation, and she is one of two women supporting the use of Kalendor in the last battle, right? Both of those you need her for, but they both feel, at least the second one could be any Aes Sedai.
Yeah, I don't mind her being really passive and chill here because she just woke up from a really intense experience, but that it doesn't, it's like with Gawyn. right? What he does here isn't the problem. It's the fact that what he does later is foreshadowed by what's happening here, so it's a problem.
Right.
And yeah, it's like, and he even says here, like she looked more like a woman than Matt remembered. In his memories, she was like a statue, right? That feels to me very much like Sanderson saying, oh, I have to write her like a person. She's always been Gandalf, and now I have to like get into her head and write her. And I'm like, okay, if you want to like ease into it and have her be really chill and barely awake for this section, all right, okay.
And the number of times Matt says, hey, I miss the relationship between you two is because Sanderson missed that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%. Like, there's no way he's not like, oh, yeah. I think he got that book was like, oh, yeah, Moraine and Thom get together. And he's like, what? I never noticed that, because it is so subtle.
Yeah, like this line where he's like, Moraine grimaces. And had Moraine grimaced before? Had she been too high and mighty for that? Or was we just remembering her wrong?
No, she grimaced all the time.
Like, yeah, she totally grimaced. Like, if you go back and read the books again, like, you'll see she expresses so much emotion. But yeah, Matt totally missed it the way that a lot of us first-time readers missed it when we were younger. And, like, the way Sanderson missed it when he was a first-time reader and younger. And
Moraine, he was talking to Flaming Moraine. He could be, Moraine, he's writing Flaming Moraine, right? Like,
yeah. Exactly. It's like talking to Brigida or Jane Farstrider. And what a world it was, and what a strange place he had in it. What a world where I got into writing because I loved these books as a kid, and now I'm finishing them. Holy crap.
Right. That feels like a very self-insert Sanderson moment there.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think is appropriate for the first scene with Moraine actually in it as a awake talking character. Like, to just sort of sit there in awe and blink stupidly at her is an appropriate reaction.
Yeah, but he never takes her down off the pedestal is my problem. He puts her up on there in this first scene, and then she just remains this emotionless statue that he doesn't write well for the rest of the book.
That's what I'm saying. Is this just like with Gawyn? Like, this is fine if something else happens after. Then this makes sense. But because of what happens after, this is like, Lisai.
No, and I will say, I see Tom's like of Moraine that he's resisting because he is very anti-Aes Sedai, right? Because of his history. I don't necessarily see Moraine's attraction to Thom, but because of who she is, I completely understand that she was hiding it more.
Sure. Yeah. It's in character for us to not see what she sees in him.
Yes.
Even though it is frustrating that she can't get with her wife from when she was in college, and they instead both have to end up with men that look twice their age because Aes Sedai age slowly.
Right.
Little weird, little uncomfortable, but it is in character for her to be the most subtle in her attraction.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. Vuji, as Vuji says, she's Aes Sedai and Cairhienin, which is like both people who have, the game of houses is deep in their bones.
The least scrutable person ever.
Right. And the fact that Thom reads it and sees it is, I think, almost what makes her attracted to him.
Yeah. She's a what's like the fancy word for spy? To say like spy sexual, like sapiosexual for who's attracted to intelligence. She's like attracted to like the cloak and dagger spy thing. Sneak sexual. Nice legend.
Sleuth sexual.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Or maybe she just really likes men that kill the Cairhienin king, given that she, is in the Cairhienin royal family and they all hate the king. Maybe she's just like, ooh, you keep killing Cairhienin kings, I'm down.
Especially when they're related to me.
Yeah, particularly.
So we get some information from Moraine about basically her time in the Finland, right? She was held prisoner. They were draining her of the power. They were feeding off both her emotion and the power that was draining out of her, and the emotion of her loss and all that kind of stuff. And we get this line. A man was there once when they woke me. He said I was not the one he wanted. That man is, of course, Maighdin, who went there to kill Lanfear.
Right. And right before that is the line, they claimed to have killed Lanfear by draining her too quickly. And she thinks that was just a ruse, to make her more afraid, which absolutely, because Moraine absolutely came and got Lanfear. And Lanfear did die, right? Like the Finn could totally use Aes Sedai language to say, oh yeah, we killed her by letting her be killed by someone else. But, yeah.
But yeah, he killed her. He didn't come get her. He killed her so that the Dark One could get her soul.
Yeah.
And put it in a new body.
It's a killing messenger.
But yeah, interesting. And, you know, I think that's a fun, like, how did he get there? How did he get back? What did he wish? What sort of deal did he make? Like, how did Moraine, I think that's an interesting story. How did he get into the land of the Fin and how did he get out? Did he make a deal? Did he go to the room of bargains? How is he, you know, capable of getting in and out? Does he have a key? Does he have another Ashendari type situation, right? Like, what's his... This is one of those things where I actually kind of like that we don't find out. It's like his knowledge of the Age of Legends lets him do this thing.
Yeah. You know, I bet actually the Fin did kill Lanfear by draining her as part of the bargain.
Mm.
They might have actually been telling the truth, that like when he came in and was like, okay, I want her.
I want her dead. I don't care how.
And part of the price was like, oh yeah, no, you can totally kill her by draining her. Like, you don't have to take anything. You can take your price from her. That's fine. I don't care. I just want her soul loosed. That's it. I'm always curious too about like how you can reduce someone's capacity to channel as like a draining thing. Like I kind of again like that we don't get that explained. Like that the metaphysics of what's going on in the Finland and in the dream are like still only have we ever scratched the surface in all the cosmology that we've gotten. I like that implication that there's more than we could ever know going on outside the normal world.
Oh yeah, I'm fine with the metaphysics of the Fin draining your ability to channel. Like whether or not it makes sense within the context of the magic system, I feel like it does, because it's he layers different levels of magic, and the Fin layer of magic is definitely like genie level magic on top of our real world.
Right, totally, and it's awesome.
And so they break the rules by definition, right? The geometry breaks the rules. They exist in this sort of higher dimension, right? Because they can see through time. Kind of like if the wheel is weaving out a pattern, I feel like they almost like can see, they're like living above the loom and can see the pattern as it comes off the loom.
Totally. So yeah, next we have Moraine offering to heal Matt of the immediacy of his wound. You know, can't restore the eyeball, but can again, you know, make it not give him an infection that will get up into his brain.
Close the open wound that's at the back of your eye socket, because they rip the nerve, right? Yeah.
Yeah, make a nice healed surface. Yeah, it's like oozing goo still,
right.
You know?
Because there's like muscles. I don't really know all that's involved of losing an eye. I know like when it's surgery, it's still kind of there's stuff in there, right? They like put something in your eye socket to prevent your eye hole from collapsing, and like they do a bunch of other work when they remove your eye. It's not just ripped out, right? And it's just ripped out. He's like, it'll heal. It's fine. It's like, dude, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, at least allow her to like, heal up the skin and close off all of the like raw opening to the inside of your skull. Like, come on. This is not a scar to be proud of. This is like potentially going to give you an infection that kills you like 2 hours after it hits critical mass.
And I don't believe he ever gets healed from this. Am I right?
No, he just goes on his merry way because fantasy rules.
'Tis just a flesh wound.
He just wraps a bandage around the outside and everything's fine forever. Because the Fin definitely didn't have bacteria under those nasty long nails. Well, yes, Pants, it's a scar to be proud of, but it's not the kind of scar you can like show off. It's your eye. Like, ooh, yeah, I didn't get healed, so I got this cool badass scar on my bicep. Like, no, get healed. You still have a missing eye. There's plenty
the eye's
to
still
show
not
off.
going to be there, right? Yeah, the scar is done.
Yeah, you're never going to look the same, but you could have a more or less mangled area over there.
It's kind of like getting an arm cut off, right? Like they're going to heal. You should get it healed, but you're not getting the arm back.
Yeah, and yeah, he's going to wear an eye patch, blah, blah, blah. But like, I'm like, dude, this is a ridiculous sort of pain and risk of permanent infection and scarring and issues to like just shrug off because I don't like the power. Like, it's not a hangnail. A fox put his fingernails into your eye socket. You need antibiotics.
And I guarantee he didn't wash his hands before he did it.
He's a fox. Those things are disgusting. I mean, it's an animal.
They do stink, yeah.
But like, come on.
We talk about Moraine's 3 demands. She knows from previous events, we know that was her going into the Wise One's 3-ring Terran Real, that she would not escape.
That the future visions gave her clues about how that Lanfear on the docks and being in the Finland and all of that. The rings gave her the clues she needed to make some very, very dicey gambles.
And then Matt says, what did you ask for beyond the Androl? So we know one wish was the Androl, which not to get it, right? Because they have it before they go through the gateway.
Yeah, they grabbed it up off of the wagon seat. She put it there to tempt Lanfear to stand up there so she could body check her through the thing. It was found in Ruidian. And yeah, she asked for it. I'm guessing just because she figured if she got rescued, she'd be going into the last battle with Rand and would need every scrap of stuff that she could get. And it's also a good way to keep it out of Lanfear's hands.
That's what I was saying, is I bet it was to get it away from Lanfear, because I bet Lanfear had it after they went through the gateway.
That's a good call. It was actually immediately defensive. Like, no. That bitch can't have it. Mine.
But we never find out about the other two.
Yeah, not a clue, not a hint, not a scrap of anything.
I shall keep that to myself for now.
Forever,
because that's all we see.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like she made a demand to stay alive. Right? There's no she says, she wished sometimes that they would drain her more quickly so that they would kill her. But there's no indication that they kept her alive at her request. They just kept her alive because they wanted more squeeze, more juice from the squeeze. But she came in with prophecies that we had since book 1.
She what?
And I'm responding to Athlon that she came in with some useful prophecies, but everything she quoted was stuff that we all knew from book 1. That's why it works, is because everyone already knows it. She knew them already, but she applied them differently. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense that one of her questions would be about the dragon's piece, but she wasn't getting questions. She wasn't getting questions.
Boons. Yeah.
So, like, what kind of boons could she possibly have asked for that are relevant to the last battle? Like, to be believed by Rand? That sounds like a tricky thing to ask.
And what did Lanfear bargain for? She had 3 wishes.
Also, what did Lanfear bargain for? Maybe a quiet life after the last battle. I mean, valid. Maybe she wanted a husband warder. I don't know. Maybe she got other useful magic items. Maybe one of her estates in Cairhien will be held in perpetuity for her.
Yeah, everything I'm finding about it is speculation back in book 5. Nobody's like, oh, yeah.
It's Moraine. Secrets forever.
And looks like basically when people have asked Sanderson, he's like, oh, yeah, I totally know what they are. But then, like, there's never any follow-up. And then when they ask Team Jordan, they're like, yeah, we don't know.
Maybe she asked for anonymity for Rand. That's the real reason why the body swap happened. No, that's sometimes it's good to leave some mystery.
And everyone's being like, what are her 3 questions? And it's like, no, they didn't. She didn't.
Requests.
The request. Well, and I guess she did go through the gateway.
She did.
And get to ask 3 questions. So that's also a separate. She's gone through both gateways. And I guess the only other person who went through both was Matt.
Yeah.
That we know of.
Among this cast of people.
Right. In the modern era. Because we know no one is, it's been many, many centuries since anyone actually went through.
Right. Yeah. Presumably, once upon a time in the Age of Legends, people were hopping through both on a more regular basis.
But there was a gap, right? Once the gateway was lost one was lost in Ruidian and the other one was like stored in the Stone of Tyr. And so for 300 years.
It was in Maighdin for a long time. And then, it was used once per reign. For
At least.
The first of Maighdin, right? They were able to go through as like part of their rulership was to go through and get guidance on how to rule Maighdin.
I thought that they actually would send people through to get guidance. That they used it to guide their country. They didn't just go through once, but they would actually like have retainers and be like, I need answers about this treaty. You go through and ask. And like it was like a constant stream of people.
Oh, I never got that impression.
Huh.
I did not get that impression. But either way, we know that in Maighdin it was used up until 300-400 years prior to the present day. So that those Eilfin were only slightly hungry, whereas the Ruidian ones were like starving because it had been so long since Ruidian had stopped being populated by people who wanted their boons.
Well, that is the question. Is there any overlap? Because there is through the Tower of Genji.
But I think people who go through the tower are way more likely to die because they don't have the protections. That's just much more like a free hunting door as far as the Finn are concerned.
That's just you're in the Finland world and they get to fuck with you however they want versus going through the gateway. Those were made with bargain in place.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Aes Sedai studied it in Maighdin as well, so they were probably going in and out of it as well. That's how they know information about it. Yeah, it was owned by the First Man who used its answers to help remain independent from Tyr. But yeah, not a lot of detail about exactly how it was used, just that they used it.
Yeah, when it said the monarchs or the firsts of Maighdin used it, I assumed that meant literally the firsts of Maighdin, and so it was like part of your, first 5 years on the throne, you like use that one card. But that might have just been me assuming, because that felt more fantasy appropriate and less practical and OP. Because, yeah, obviously you could just send retainers through. Why not?
Yeah. Like, everyone can go through once, but, like, yeah, if you have servants who will do that for you or people who are loyal to you, you can send them through with questions. And the Aes Sedai could go through it all the time. Like, yeah, I don't know. Definitely an assumption on both our parts about how it's being used because it's not spelled out on page.
Yeah. Are we nerds? I think we might be nerds. So Matt considers that maybe Moraine's the real hero here because she knew what was going to happen to her before she pops through. Again, I'm like, being a hero isn't pie. You and Noel and Moraine can all be heroes. It's fine. And then she says that she needs to go get to Rand, and can I please have an update real quick? Can we just speed run what's been going on with Rand? Because I haven't been here since book 5, and I'm pretty sure he's gone through some shit.
Yeah. In about a year, I think is what we figured out.
Yeah. So she's like, can you speed run me on how Rand is doing? I trust he has done well in my absence, right? Because that's what she said in the letter, is you will do well. And Matt says, he's kind of full of crap and doing stupid stuff, but also he's done everything that he needs to do. He cleansed the taint. He's got everyone pointed at the last battle. But, like, it's a very sibling-like thing. Like, well, yeah, he graduated college with honors, but he still stinks because he's my brother, right? It's a very brotherly kind of report. And then, yeah, that Elaine is queen. Right? He's just speedrunning her on the most important things of the people. And then we get the really, really funny where Thom says, Matt's been too busy to keep track of the other Forsaken. He's been spending his time marrying the Empress of the Shanshan. You did what? It was an accident. You accidentally married the Shanshan Empress? They've got some odd customs. Taviran. I love that interaction. That to me is like some good recap exposition reunion energy all bundled into one. Like, Moraine is genuinely surprised you accidentally married the Shanshan Empress. It's very cute. I enjoy that part.
That is very good. Yeah, I thought they did a good job of the humor between those two, and it's a good recap. And then the marriage between Thom and Moraine, where she's like, dearest Thom, will you marry me? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah. They go from promised to fully engaged. They still need a lord to perform the ceremony. You can feel them both looking at Matt like, hey, so you're like official and shit. And Matt's like, no, I am not marrying my mom and my dad. That's weird.
And he's not exactly the kind of person who should be doing the marrying.
I mean, to judge by Perrin's performance, the boys need to go to Marriage Officiating 101.
Next time we'll do it better, said...
And Moraine, does the very sweet thing of like, this ter'angreal will make me more powerful than ever before, but if you don't like powerful women, then I'm willing to diminish myself, which is like kind of a sweet gesture and also like, what? If you don't like powerful women, I'll make myself small so I can ride that dick.
Yeah, not my favorite. Not my favorite.
But I do appreciate from an Aes Sedai perspective the idea of her actually being humble enough to like allow her warders' preferences to matter. So mixed bag for me on that one.
Yeah.
And then when Matt's expressing his confusion, then Moraine goes, I can see why the Shanshan woman just had to have you. You certainly have a mind for romance. I don't recall Moraine being sarcastic before, but I'm here for it anyway.
There's definitely a little bit of picking fun at the boys, whereas before she's like, okay, I have to be not loyal, but I have to like...
serious. I think she had to always be serious before, and now she can see that they've leveled up past her. She can afford to relax just a bit. Not relax on the whole last battle thing, but relax on the being the stoic, adultiest adult in the room. Yeah, she can be the funny aunt now. She'll still throw down, but she can be the funny aunt instead of literally, Gandalf. Not that Gandalf's not funny, obviously. Also, yes, surviving a deathly situation and coming out the other side does make a person less serious and a lot more casual and fun-loving as a rule. People who are super, super serious and then get out of a deadly situation are like, you know what? That's not such a big deal. It's fine.
It looks like, now this is just one timeline, but Moraine goes missing in September of 99.
Okay.
And we are like June of 1000. So...
yeah, that's 9 months, not even a year.
September, October, November. Yeah, not even September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, 9 months, 10 months. So she was in the Finland for pregnancy, basically.
3 trimesters of Finn.
But that sort of tells you just how, again, I've said this a million times, but how compressed these later books are, is that from the end of Fires of Heaven to where we are in the current moment is 9 months.
That's wild. Truly.
Considering The Great Hunt is a year and 3 months. One book.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so there is this sort of like, the timeline gets very weird.
So yeah, Moraine essentially says, hey, Thom, we should hit the road after the last battle. We should just like tour around in an RV busking at county fairs. That'll be fun.
Which is what both of them have been doing for the last 20 years anyway. She's been going around looking for Rand. He's been playing, Gleeman from Court Bard. How long ago did he get exiled? That was back when...
About 15 years ago, because Elaine was a little girl.
Yeah, it was after the Aiel War.
Yes. So he's been bumming around for not quite as long as Moraine has on the road, but still, I mean, he's been doing that for a decade plus. So.
Yeah. So they both have a decade of just traveling, but decades of traveling on the road.
Yeah. They're both like, you know what? We really can live out of a backpack. You want to live out of a backpack? Let's live out of a backpack. No, it's going to be great. He's going to be playing his flute. She'll be juggling fireballs. It's going to be like just the best little duo you've ever seen at like the Ren Fair. It's going to be awesome.
And then I love how he's like, no one's going to bond me. And then Tom's like, oh, couldn't Tuon learn to channel if she wanted to, since she can...
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
This kind of seems like an option. He's like, I don't have to worry about that. Do I?
And that's one of those Outrigger things that we never really get to find out. Like, how does Tuon react to being able to channel? Does she eventually learn? Is the idea of living for much, much longer, being the, Empress for a long time, tempting?
Is having a Prince of the Ravens who's also a bodyguard tempting? Right, like, there's a lot that could be thrown at her to make the conversation really complicated and to make Matt's reactions to it complicated and to make a whole another 14 books. But alas. Yeah, what will happen first? Matt accepting healing or Tuon accepting learning how to channel? Or hell freezing over? Which one will come first?
In a lot of ways, that's why they are a good match, right? Because they are both sort of anti-channeling, even though they both use it, right? She uses it through Damani. He uses it through having, like, channelers fight for him. But neither one wants channeling used on them. Neither one wants to be a channeler. And also, like, his wish to be free of Aes Sedai, man, did they interpret that in a way that made him not, basically embroiled him more because his ability to be free from the One Power let him interact with them way more in a way safer manner.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, Matt wanders away from the lovebirds who are just, doing lovebird things.
After repeatedly saying, how did I miss this? Okay, Sanderson.
Yeah. So then he walks off to make a small cairn for Noel and kind of like think and give us one last deep breath of reflection before we close out the book.
And it's another testing of his luck, right? This is the whole, like, what am I going to do now?
Well, this is his first moment of acknowledging the anxiety of losing an eye, right? He's been go, 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 go. And now he can actually sit down and think about, oh, I'm missing an eye.
That's going to affect my fighting. That's going to affect, all sorts of things.
Yeah, like my depth perception is off. Every motion that I make is going to have to be recalibrated. What's Tuon going to think? Am I going to die in battle? Like, he hasn't had a chance to think about that until now. And he does just long enough to realize that his luck is going to be stronger than ever because luck works better if you aren't looking anyway. And he's able to find a pot to make tea for Moraine because they don't have a pot to make tea for Moraine. And he just hits a rabbit with his knife thrown randomly. And he's like, nah, I still got it. I still got it. I'm Odin. It's gonna be fine. And with that, we close the book. And all we have left to get to next week is the epilogue.
But I do love that, like, throwing the knife over, hitting the rabbit, finding the pot. That's Taviran, right? We were kind of speculating about, like, what's the Taviran-ness with Gawyn and Elaine and Androl and, but it's like with Matt, that is Taviran, right? Him finding the pot, which, I mean, I guess tea for Moraine is super Taviran important. I mean, they need supplies. They have nothing. They left their packs.
He wanted it, is the point.
Oh, okay. I missed that he can make things manifest just by wanting them and being lucky.
Yeah, because Thom wants to make Moraine some tea and get some tea into her, and he wants to boil water in his hands, and they get the fire going, but there's no pot. So it's not that they need tea; it's that Matt is like, oh, if I want something, it'll just be there. I want a pot, and I want a rabbit to put in the pot. Well, actually, he wants to put tea in the pot, but
water in the pot, tea in the water,
rabbit in every pot.
Right. Tea and Moraine, that sort of thing.
Because hot tea is,
good gossip.
Basically a food group.
Oh, what? Yeah, I mean, I love that the Aes Sedai subsist on tea because that has such a double meaning for the way they deal with both information and the drink.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think with that, that's all I got.
You want to give us a readout on that? Because it's a good read. I mean, it's not the end of the book, but it's kind of the end of the book. We still have the epilogue, but this is the resounding concluding paragraph energy.
One eye lost. What would that do to his ability to fight? That worried him more than anything. He had put on a brave front, but inside he trembled. What would Tuon think of a husband missing an eye? A husband who might not be able to defend himself. He pulled out a knife, flipped it, then, on a whim, he tossed it behind him without looking. Moraine got stabbed. No. Then he heard a soft screech, then turned to see a rabbit slumped to the ground, speared by the idly thrown knife. He smiled, then turned back to the river. There, he noticed something caught between two large river stones along the shore. It was an overturned cooking pot with a copper bottom, barely used, only dinged on the sides a couple of times. It must have been dropped by a traveler walking up the river. Yes, he might not be able to judge distance, and he might not be able to see as well, but luck worked better when you weren't not looking anyway. He smiled wider, then fetched the rabbit. He would skin that for supper and pluck the pot out of the river. Moraine would get her tea, after all. Yeah, Moraine would get her tea after all is a great way to end the book.
Yeah.
That's a good line.
It's one of the most important things, one of the most singular things, one of the most primary things we ever learn about her is tea. And that's how we're going to end this book, in which we have finally retrieved her after books of teasing the concept. She's actually rescued.
Moraine lives. Yeah, I mean, even from the very beginning, right? The note she gave Rand teased that she would be returning.
If you were really hopeful.
Yes.
That's such a slow burn. Oh my God, such a slow burn.
And join us next week for lots of POVs. We got Grendel, we got Perrin, Alver. We get to see the red-veiled Aiel, a little bit of Rand al'Thor. Yeah, this is some Lan. There's a lot packed into that one chapter. So get ready for a fun epilogue. And then the final book, I gotta say, similar. Every chapter, many, many, many POVs. It's going to be an interesting way of going through it. I'm curious to see how we handle it, because I don't know yet how it's going to go. I'll be honest.
Yeah, and as a reminder, of course, we're going to do our tangents episode between books, and then we're going to do the very unusual step of really tangenting over to New Spring.
Yes.
Before we get to Memory of Light. So just keep in mind that Memory of Light is still more of a late summer, early fall adventure. We're going to tangent off to New Spring first.
We need a Jordan refresher before we finish out the series.
Yeah, and the summer recording schedule is going to be a little wonky. We'll give you all updates as it comes closer, but just so you know, summer will be less of your normally scheduled programming between New Spring and travel breaks and whatnot. But Memory of Light will be coming August, September, I think is when we're going to be returning to actually tackle that. So if you have thoughts on how you want us to handle the last book, now is a good time to bring those thoughts to the Discord and give us your ideas so that we can try to navigate this.
I'm actively chunking up the chapters into episodes and sort of writing my summaries and trying to figure out a schedule for the final book. So New Spring is going to be interesting because we're attempting 5 chapters per episode in New Spring. So we're attempting to do 5 episodes for the whole book because there's 25 chapters and an epilogue. I think it's going to work because the chapters are a little bit shorter. They're all single POV, except for one. There's one that's 3 POVs, but all the other chapters are single POV chapters. Most of them are simpler than main body Wheel of Time chapters. So I think doing 4 to 5, they may be slightly long episodes, but I think it's going to be a good way to knock that out in about a month.
Yeah, and over on Dungeon Crawler Carl, of course, we are currently finishing up with book 2, publishing. We're still only halfway through book 2, but recording wise, we're finishing book 2 today. So that continues to be a very fun source of consistent entertainment over there, even as we have book transitions and whatnots over here. Dungeon Crawler Carl is chugging away on its own trajectory. Which
is just a lot of fun if you want to come join us over there. I'm having a blast.
I have so many thoughts, but we have to take a break between recordings before I can give you all of those thoughts. So with that, I will close this episode out by reminding everyone to please come over to the Patreon. We do appreciate it. And have a nice day. Hydrate.
Wear sunscreen. Oh, God, I listened to that song again, that sunscreen song.
Sunscreen song?
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm turning recording off. I'm turning it off.
Oh, you're recording off.
Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.